Hi, this is Rebecca from Bold Verity, and I am here to bring you a channel message for this dark moon, new moon period. On the day of this recording, it is International Women's Day, and I have been thinking a lot about the women who have been supporting me and who I have been supporting in both my personal and professional life. And what came to me was the theme about healing, nurturing, and receiving. So I have pulled out a set of cards from the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck, and I have channeled the message based on the cards that have been pulled for each of the themes. The intention was just to pull a card each for healing, nurturing, and receiving. However, in the process of shuffling the cards, 2 cards came out each time. So I'm just going to go along with that and channel the messages based on the 2 cards drawn each. Now, what do we need to know in order to heal this dark moon, new moon? The cards that have been drawn are abundance and growth. Now, what does this mean for us at this time? What I'm sensing is great big space and a void. And it seems quite contradictory to the word abundance, where you have the image of something that's really plentiful when all you see is this great big massive void. But what it is that in this void, in this space of emptiness, that carries a whole load of infinite possibilities of things that have yet to be, things that have yet to come into fruition in life. So how can we heal at this time is represented by this great big space, this void, this emptiness, where there are parts of us where it may sometimes feel empty, that there's something missing in our life, or that it may feel like something that was once there had been taken away from us and therefore creating the void, and that we may feel like we are not ready to deal with what is no longer in our lives. However, the message is that this is where the growth aspect comes into play. That sometimes in order for you to truly heal, what no longer serves you needs to be removed from your life. What needs to come to a close for a particular chapter in your life needs to be done so with gratitude for the season that it has spent in your life, at the same time to also be allowed to be free from your space, because its season has come to an end and the time has come for it to be released and set free. So the message for how to heal at this time is to embrace the letting go of things that needs to come to a close in your life in order to make space for abundance and growth to come in. It may not always be easy, and it may feel discomforting to be in that space, in that void for this time. But allow yourself to have this space and this time to empty out all of your emotions, to truly process what needs to end, and give yourself the kindness and care and compassion in order to just be where you are at this moment. And when the time is right and when you are ready for it, to be open to the possibilities of receiving that healing, as well as to be nurtured by others as much as you're nurturing yourself. Now, how do we nurture ourselves this dark moon, new moon? The cards drawn are resistance and darkness. Now, what does that mean for us at this time? Now, what's coming to mind is actually a movie called Orion in the Dark, where this boy Orion was afraid of the dark, and then he made friends with a personification of the dark. And at one point in the movie, darkness disappeared, and all that was there was light, all day, every day, and it got quite overwhelming and overbearing and a bit too much. So it kind of feels like the message here on nurturing is tied to this movie, that the darkness is just as important as the light. So how can we nurture ourselves? It feels like at this time, especially when we're entering the dark moon, new moon, that it's a time for us to take some time out to be reflective of our needs, our wants, our dreams, our desires. It's to stop being in the yang mode or nature and to be in yin mode for a little while. Because a lot of times when we are going about our daily lives, it's very much action, 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 do. And we don't always allow ourselves the time to just be. So to nurture ourselves at this time, it is to embrace the darkness. It's to be reflective and go deep within, to not be afraid or resistant to facing our shadows or uncomfortable truths. It's to get real with ourselves as to what is working and what is not working for our authentic selves. To not be in the light so much that it kind of glosses over things that have been buried deep for so long, that have maybe even gotten to the point where they have been festering. And these need to be brought out from the dark into the light of the day so they can be seen clearly. So we can then begin to nurture the parts of us that have been neglected for so long, the parts of us that makes us uncomfortable. But they are also the parts of us we need to embrace in order to be our whole selves. So there could be some resistance in doing that. And the message is very much to relax into the process and not to get so hung up over how it should look or how it should be, but to just allow yourself to see things for what they are. And you don't even have to make a decision as to how to deal with everything that you are looking at. Let the universe and the divine deal with the hows. All it's asking you to do to take care of yourself is to see things as they are, to look into your shadow side, to look into the parts of you that you have been avoiding for so long. It's just to look at it, to stare into the darkness. And in terms of the hows to address them, once they have been brought out into the light, then the solutions will unfold in divine timing. So it is not at our timing. So it's to remind ourselves to, again, be kind and compassionate and patient. That the first big step is to just acknowledge what is and what's there, and the house will take care of itself in time to come. And finally, how can we receive? What do we need to know in order to receive this dark moon, new moon? The cards that have been pulled are assessing and resilience. What does that mean for us? I'm getting a sense of crossroads where you have like signposts that points into many different directions, and that very much is relating to the assessing bit of the card pull. Sometimes what we need to do in order to receive is to occasionally take stock of where we are and to continually assess, is this currently what's right for me? Is this in alignment? Because sometimes when we are not aligned, we do not always receive what we hope for in the process, because sometimes what it is that we want to receive isn't necessarily something that's for us. So it's to really have discernment as to whether or not are we moving towards wanting what is for our highest and greatest good, or are the reasons why we are wanting to receive something based on other people's expectations of what we ought to want for ourselves. So the assessment part is really important. And where resilience come in is that sometimes when you're kind of at the crossroads and you're choosing which path to go, occasionally it may feel as if you've gone down one route and you realize that things are a bit bumpy, sometimes it makes you think, oh, probably should have chosen something else because this one's tough. So I probably made the wrong choice. This is a reminder that no choices you have ever made is ever the wrong one, and that so-called mistakes are all part and parcel of the process and life's journey. That perhaps the reason why you chose the path that you did was because you were meant to experience those bumps along the way, because without that you wouldn't have gained a certain amount of knowledge, wisdom, experience that you need in order to progress in the next part of your journey. So in fact, by not going down that route, you would end up being poorer for it in terms of your experience. Also, you have no idea of knowing whether another route or decision you might have chosen would have been quote unquote better than the path that you're on now. Think of it as the burnt toast theory, where sometimes having some minor inconveniences in your life, like having burnt toast and then having to spend an extra 5 minutes making new toast, ends up saving you from an even bigger inconvenience or challenge somewhere further down the line. because by spending that extra 5 minutes making burnt toast, you might have avoided getting yourself into like traffic collision that would have happened to you had you left the house at a certain time. So really, the message that is bringing to us at this time with regards to receiving is that the twists and turns that you have in your life, the challenges that you are facing, they are all gifts to you just as much as all the really pleasant, yummy things that are going on in your life are. They're a different kind of gifts, but they are no less valuable. So it is to really lean in and to embrace receiving these gifts, even though they might bring us a certain amount of discomfort. But ultimately, they are what we need to receive in order to move us along in terms of our growth and our journey in life. Once you let go of the resistance to receiving such challenging gifts, it then enables you to be more open to receiving all the other wonderful gifts and abundance that life has to offer, because there is no resistance. There's nothing to block the flow of abundance. And then you will be able to fully receive everything that is for you. That brings to a close the dark moon, new moon messages received at this time for you. Let me know how this resonates. Sending much love to you all. Bye for now.